Welcome, boys and girls. Today we are going to be learning about bar graphs. Let's go ahead and take a look at what I have for you today. The first thing I wanted to go over with you guys fairly quickly was just the parts of a bar graph. We need to know these things in order to interpret a bar graph, in order to answer questions about a bar graph and understand it. So bar graphs should always have a title. And in this case, we are looking at t-shirt orders. This helps the person that is looking at the bar graph understand what is being collected, what type of data is being collected. They also have labels, okay, along the side and across the bottom of the bar graph. In this case, we're looking at the amount of shirts ordered, and we also have the categories of different types of shirts that have been purchased. Okay, let's take a look at another one. I don't want you to freak out if you see a vertical bar graph and a horizontal bar graph. Both of these are good, okay? Both of these bar graphs are something that you might see. So don't think that it's only one way. It can be represented in two different ways. Okay, let's go ahead and move on. All right, we have our first bar graph that we are going to interpret or summarize the data from, okay? Now, there is one rule, okay? When you get a bar graph, when you get a dot plot, when you get a frequency table, when you get a pictograph, the first thing you need to do is label what you see. I don't want you to worry about the questions. As soon as you see this graph, I need you to label it. That's my number one rule, okay? I want you to label it because then it makes the questions 100 times easier, okay? So if we take a closer look at this bar graph, we are looking at, I can tell that it's third graders' favorite games, okay? So it looks like it's a survey for games. Down at the bottom, we have our label, type of game. We've got checkers, chess, cards, and dominoes. On the left-hand side, it looks like we're moving by jumps of 4. So 0 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 12. And then we have the number of students. This section over here tells us how many kids voted for that game, okay? So the first thing I need to do is label these bars, okay? It's gonna make your life a whole lot easier if you just label the bars. So let's take a look. We have our checkers bar in between 28 students and 32 students. So sometimes it can be kind of confusing for our eyes. So I just like to mark it. Okay, so as you can see, I've just drawn a straight line to my number of students. And I know that that's going to be 30. Okay, so all I'm doing is labeling it. This is what you would do if you had paper and pencil. Okay. I'm going to label it. Now over to chess. This is easy because it is all the way across and it lands exactly at 16. Let's look at cards. Go all the way up. Okay, we have the same situation where we are between two numbers. So we're going to draw a straight line. Okay, and that helps me out a lot. So 32. Okay, I know there's 4 in between each. That's half. So that means that this one is 34. Now over to dominoes. I'm going to travel all the way up my bar. Okay, lands perfectly on a line, and it's 24. So I'm going to label it with 24. All right, now that our bar graph is labeled, we can go ahead and start our questions. Okay, which game is most popular among third graders? So that means that we're looking for the game that is voted for the most out of all others. And if you just take a little look over here, it's pretty easy to see which one is the most popular. I got cards. I hope you did too. So let's go ahead and write that answer down. All right, number 2. How many students reported checkers as their favorite game? Okay, that's easy because I have my type of games at the bottom. So all I need to do is find checkers, follow all the way up, easy, 30. 30 students, okay? Number 3, how many more students reported cards than dominoes as their favorite game. Okay, now we are comparing two of those categories, all right? We are going to be looking at dominoes and cards, okay? So let's take a look. Dominoes has 24 and cards has 34. They want to know the difference between the two, so we are going to be subtracting, all right? We're going to be subtracting dominoes from cards. So it should be 34 minus 24. And I want you to take a moment and just think about that setup. 34 minus 24. What's your answer going to be? Use your mental math. Let's see. 34 minus 24 is 10 students. So how many more students reported cards than dominoes as their favorite game? 10 students. Okay, 10 students. Number 4, how many third graders responded to this survey? Okay, that means we are looking at our entire survey here, and we have to add up all these numbers, okay? So we're gonna be adding 30, 16, 34, and 24, all right? So let's set it up. Okay, so go ahead and write that down. And something that I like to do is I like to break up these numbers into groups, like adding groups of 2. I like to do that a lot with my kids. So we're going to go ahead and do that. 30 plus 16, mental math, because that's super easy. And you should get 46. Okay, then we're going to add up 34 and 24 because those are the last two numbers that I have remaining. So let's set it up. This one you could do mental math, but if you need to write it down, go ahead and write it down. This one should be pretty easy. 58. You should have gotten 58. Now what we're going to do with these is we're going to add 46 and we're going to add 58. Okay, so go ahead and add those two numbers together. You're going to have to regroup. You should have gotten the answer 104. Okay, so 104 students took this survey. Great job, guys. Let's do one more together. All right, we have another bar graph, and look at this. It looks different. The only reason why it looks different is because now it's vertical, okay? And that's okay. It's still a bar graph, okay? So we are looking at a number of vegetables planted. Wait for that to go away. And we have the number of plants on the bottom. And we've got our categories or our types of vegetables on the left-hand side, okay? It doesn't mean that it's wrong. It's just shifted in a different way. But we can still collect data from this, okay? Remember what I said. The first thing you need to do is label this bar graph, okay? I don't care about questions right now. I just want to label my bar graph. So let's start with the first one. It looks like we have carrots here. And again, it's in the middle of two different numbers, all right? So we're going to have to figure that out. And the way I like to do that is I like to draw a line. So I've drawn my red line all the way down. And it looks like the number of plants is jumping by groups of 10. So I know half of 10 is 5. So I'm looking at 65, okay? Let's do the next one. That one's easy because it is all the way straight down, okay? There's nothing in between. So that one's 30. And we have the same issue again here. So let's draw our red line. Okay, so that one's going to be 85. And let's look at that last category, bean. and it lands perfectly on one of the lines. So that tells me that it is 60. All right, you did what I asked for. We did it together. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at our questions. It says, which vegetable was planted the least? That's easy. All I have to do is look for the smallest category. And if you just eye it, you should get the answer cucumber. Okay, that is the least planted category. Number 2, how many fewer beans were planted than beets? Okay, so we are going to be doing some comparing, and we have one of those awesome keywords that helps us figure out exactly which operation we're going to be using, and that is subtraction, okay? How many fewer beans were planted than beets? So we are going to have to do some subtraction with beets and beans. Beets has 85, beans has 60. So we're going to be taking away from the largest amount, which is beet. So 85 minus 60. Go ahead and solve for that. You could totally do mental math on this one as well, because those are great numbers to use. Okay. Hopefully you got a setup like this. 85 beets minus 60 beans equals 15 fewer beans than beets. If you got that correct, go ahead and give yourself a pat on the back. All right, number 3. How many carrots and cucumbers were planted? How many carrots and cucumbers were planted? So we got another one of those key words. That word right there, and. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and do some combining. Let's find carrots. We have 65 carrots and we have 30 cucumbers. So we are going to go ahead and add those together. Go ahead and add those together right now. All right, hopefully you got the same thing as me. 65 carrots plus 30 cucumbers is 95 carrots and cucumbers. Awesome job. All right, guys, until next time. Thank you for watching.